Microsoft just announced cutting 3% of their workforce. That's around 6,800 jobs in one of tech's most stable companies. So this isn't just about downsizing, it's about restructuring. Microsoft is specifically targeting middle management layers while preserving technical talent. So they're not alone. Intel, Amazon, and tons of others are following the exact same playbook right now, a strategic management call that signals a major shift in how tech giants are organizing themselves for the next wave of innovation. Now, I'm not a fan of any layoffs. I always wish that companies could rearrange things or offer a lot of other options, but I am a fan of flatter org structures. I personally build my own companies that way with a very flat org structure. So I can understand the appeal here, but I get that this isn't going to be a super popular opinion. So there's obvious implications for everyone in technology with this announcement. So whether you're a manager worried about job security or a developer wondering what this means for your future opportunities, and how I feel that this is coming from something we saw in a spike in social media and LinkedIn last year from Paul Graham. I think this is really starting to affect the industry, and this is a very unique take. I'm one of the only people talking about this, so let's dive in and talk about it today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and to build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. So Microsoft isn't just randomly cutting staff. They're specifically targeting bloated management structures that have accumulated over the years. So let's jump into some of these headlines here really quick, and then we'll talk more about these. So Microsoft layoff today. Tech giant cuts around 6,000 jobs, nearly 3% of workforce, including at LinkedIn. So the company's latest reduction, its biggest in years, comes weeks after it reported upbeat earnings and guidance after AI investments. That's what's a little interesting about this, is that it used to be, hey, things are up, let's hire, let's do all this. And now it's like, hey, things are up, let's cut. And I don't love this shift in the market. Like actually, so my guess is that Microsoft stock's actually going to go up over this, which I'm really not a big fan of. I kind of hate that this sign of like, hey, we're doing really well, we're going to cut and become more profitable, right? So I really don't love this, because I understand why they're doing it. And so I get what they're trying to do here. But ultimately, like this is going to affect a ton of people. So they had 228,000 employees. And I get that at that size, it's hard to be nimble, right? But they're looking to reduce management layers. And that's really what this is about, I think. I think this is going to be as much about trying to stay nimble and trying to stay competitive as much as it is just, let's be honest, they're trying to reduce a bunch of cost, right? But according to these, they're trying to reduce management layer. And this follows the exact same playbook that Amazon implemented last year when they slashed middle management roles to streamline decision making. Now, I've seen this pattern repeat whenever technology giants need to reboot innovation cycles. And Microsoft's move sends a clear message to many managers that they're slowing down their ability to compete in AI-driven future. The most vulnerable positions are those several layers away from both customers and core technological work, right? Microsoft is essentially reviving Amazon's famous two pizza rule, the idea that no team should be larger than it can be fed with two pizzas. But many Microsoft teams have actually gotten smaller with a ratio of one manager to 5 to 6 employees. Now, this restructuring is going to aim to do what Amazon and Intel are trying to do with getting it closer to 10 to 12 per manager. Now, this isn't just about cost savings, although it is going to reduce because most of these managers are making about $250,000 to $350,000 annually. But it's also about communication efficiency. Every management layer, a decision must pass through adds exponential delay and potential for miscommunications or scope changes. Now, I've always implemented flat structures in my own organization, specifically because each additional layer of hierarchy dilutes the original vision for a product or for work. Now, when you remove these filters between technical teams and decision makers, you create space for direct communication and faster innovation cycles. Now, notice what Microsoft is not doing. They're not slashing developer headcount or putting technology initiatives on hold. This strategy specifically preserves the people who build the actual products while reducing those who mainly coordinate and gatekeep. Now, Microsoft's approach aligns perfectly with Paul Graham's concept of founder mode, right? Maintaining the direct connection between vision and execution. Now, in my experience building teams, the highest performing organizations maintain a direct line between technical decisions and business outcomes. These cuts actually create tremendous opportunity for technical contributors who can step up with leadership skills without necessarily wanting management titles. The most valuable talent profile emerges from it. This shift will be technical leads who can influence and coordinate without needing formal authority. Now, this isn't just a Microsoft phenomenon. Intel recently announced that among identical management-focused layoffs while mandating return to office for remaining staff. Now, Intel's CEO specifically highlighted trimming management layers as a key objective of their restructure. Tech companies grew management ranks enormously during the pandemic boom, and now they're trying to reverse course. So all these big companies got really bloated during the massive staff ups that we saw during 2020, 21, 22, and 23. But my prediction is we're going to see the same pattern repeat across a dozen major tech companies before the end of 2025. The companies moving first on these cuts were Microsoft, Amazon, Intel, some of these really large ones. But I think they're going to emerge stronger. Even though I don't love this kind of a thing, I can understand what they're trying to get to. So this isn't a temporary correction. I think it's a fundamental rebalancing of how technology organizations need to structure in order to be able to move fast. Now, if your company isn't moving fast enough, make sure you reach out to us, because here at Starter Pack, our specialty is helping you get systems connected and automating work processes, especially with AI innovation, so that your company can work like a well-oiled machine. So check out starterpack.com/Spencer, because we can help you out. Now, every management layer has to pass through Every management layer that a decision has to pass through adds 3 to 5 days of delay in most organizations. Now, Microsoft management trims aim to dramatically increase decision velocity by eliminating these bottlenecks. Now, I've observed that when you cut in half the management layers, you almost quadruple decision speeds. We've seen this with companies like SpaceX, with Tesla, with other companies that are really jumping on board with what Paul Graham taught last year. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. Now, management bloat is often the silent killer of innovation within large tech companies. We saw this originally with like IBM, right? Back in its heydays. We've seen this over and over again with a lot of large companies. Apple's struggling with this right now. Microsoft cuts signal a deliberate attempt to recreate the innovative environment that drove the early success. Reddit discussions point out that many of Microsoft's recent innovations came despite their organizational structure, not because of it. Now, in my own companies, I've found that removing management gatekeepers immediately unleashes creativity thinking that was previously suppressed. I also like to have technical leads leading my team rather than management leading my teams. Not that they have to lead, but it allows them to lead in technical ways while I can help manage the management. So these changes typically lead to 9 to 6 months of adjustment periods, followed by a lot of new ideas. So watch for Microsoft to announce a new wave of initiatives about 12 months from now is my prediction. Now, with fewer managers, individual contributors at Microsoft will need to become more self-directed. This mirrors the founders mode that Paul Graham talked about. And unless you've been living under a rock and haven't heard about Paul Graham's founder mode, let's talk a little about this. So, at a YC event, in September of 2024, Brian Chesky, founder of Airbnb, gave a talk that everyone there will remember, and this lit up the airwaves, right? So Paul Graham wrote about this that Brian Chesky originally founded. But the theme of his talk was that conventional wisdom about how to run larger companies is a mistake. As Airbnb grew, well-meaning people advised him that he had to run the company in a certain way, and this was to insert these layers of management. But why was everyone telling these founders the wrong thing? That was the big mystery to him, right? In effect, there are two different ways to run a company: founders mode and managers mode. And what he talks about here is he talks about like Steve Jobs, how Steve Jobs would get down in the weeds and work directly with people, right? And he gave this example. Steve Jobs used to run an annual retreat for what he considered the 100 most important people at Apple, and these were not the 100 people highest on the org chart. So this is one of the things I really actually like about Elon Musk and the way he runs his organizations. He comes down to those bottom level decision makers and gets crap done. Now, you obviously have to have middle management as you scale a company, but as much as you can keep that company flat, you're going to allow that founders mode vision to get down into your org the best way to percolate down to those bottom layers. Now, Microsoft employees who had previously relied on managers to shield them from consequences will find themselves exposed, but this shift ultimately is going to create a healthier organization for Microsoft to be able to try to move faster and innovate quicker. Now, Microsoft's 3% cuts isn't going to hurt its bottom line either, right? It's going to cut roughly $1 to $1.5 billion of annual savings just on the compensation packages, right? So there's definitely a financial motivation. But I think, especially given how successful Microsoft has been and how big their profit margins were, right? Their typical profit margins right now are showing between 15 to 25%, but this will actually help their profit margins, get about 15 to 25% better than some of their other competitors. Now, this Microsoft's move should be viewed as a disciplined business decision, not just reaction to current market conditions. Now, while Microsoft is cutting managers, they're simultaneously creating space for a different kind of leadership to emerge. Technical leaders who can guide without formal authority will become increasingly valuable in this flatter structure. So the most successful leaders in this paradigm will be those who enable others rather than to direct them. So I think this is going to be an interesting opportunity. So if you're a manager right now, my advice would be to dive in and get technical because I really think it's the technical managers who are going to survive here. I see a lot of managers like, oh, I'm not technical, and I hear that from some management. And I'm like, man, I absolutely would be down in the weeds with every decision. And so I'm in the weeds with my developers absolutely every day. I'm helping them in architecting these AI decisions. I'm messing around with AI. I'm writing code against it. I even provide a whole lot of code samples here. So make sure you check out my previous videos because we have over 500 free code samples that I've built so far to date. And I give these away totally for free on the channel. So make sure you like and subscribe because I love still getting down into the technical weeds. But I think this is what's going to differentiate those managers that are going to get cut in these kind of cuts versus those that aren't. Technical professionals who can combine depth, expertise with communication skills and that technical prowess will thrive in this new environment. So Microsoft's move signals a broader shift in how technology companies will structure themselves in coming years. We're seeing the pendulum swing back away from management-heavy structures, and I think we've seen this over and over again. I think you're going to see Apple start doing some of the same thing. I think we're going to see a lot of these other innovative companies who are wanting to stay on there. Now, if your company needs some help with this, reach out to us because here at Startup Hack, we not only just help you build technology, I can help you build teams as well. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer because I love working with tech teams. Now, what are your thoughts? The best compliment I get is when you guys leave me a thought. Do you guys think I'm way off? Do you think $$ just evil here and they're just doing it for corporate profits? Love to hear what what discussions people have to say. Waiting for those who are saying that Microsoft's doing all this to offshore development. That's not really what we're seeing in this, but you're going to hear those smoke screens that Microsoft's offering the smoke screen. But what are your thoughts? Love to hear you. Make sure you leave a comment down below. And here's some great information about some of our services.
Hi, my name is Spencer Thomason, and I'm a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So what is a fractional CTO? This is where you can contract someone like myself to come into your organization and get the benefits of a seasoned CTO without having to employ me full time. In today's fast-paced world, efficiency, security, and product scaling aren't just goals, they're necessities. My passion is building impactful products and enhancing organizational efficiencies through technology. From startups to small businesses, my approach leverages lean methodologies to not just meet but exceed your strategic goals. Whether it's through executive mentoring, cloud system architecture, or launching a minimum viable product swiftly, my aim is to make a significant impact right from the start. Recognized in the Arizona startup ecosystem, my journey has been about creating value and fostering innovation. I have led technology for companies like GoDaddy, SRP, and Wells Fargo and turned challenges into milestones. I've taken this learning and launched 7 of my own brands, and now I want to help you. So if you're looking for a fractional CTO who brings a wealth of experience, strategic vision, and a proven track record, let's connect. Together we can build technology that not only drives your business forward, but also makes a difference. Technology leadership redefined to fit your needs. So reach out today.